Initial impressions of the game.
It's a big one. It's probably, quite frankly, going to determine the East, but metaphorically, it's one of these teams are going to be able to possibly assert themselves in the conversation as far as college football playoffs. So we are in that time of the year where everybody's game is kind of meaning a whole lot more, especially when you get the divisional games and then when you talk about top 10 matchups. So I'm looking forward to this one as much as anyone. It's a great week for it because, quite frankly, we don't have a lot of great games. So to have this going down in Jacksonville on this particular week is a big one. Not only the magnitude of what the future will look like for both of these teams, but also just, Florida, Georgia, Florida, the history, Jacksonville tradition, all of that stuff. But I think beyond that, we're trying to paint this picture of what it's going to look like December, January.
You've obviously been in the trenches at the college and NFL level. Should a team be able to run into an 8-man box, and why does Georgia stick with that strategy, do you think?
Because that's who they are. That's the identity that they want to carry. It's not that smart. I'm not saying it's that smart, but you got to remember, I'm an LSU alum. I watched it for a long time happen. It's it's a part of what we've watched this year and kind of been, quite frankly, disappointed in the fact that I believe you have a really good quarterback that can throw the ball. Now, obviously, in South Carolina, we have 4 turnovers that'll make everybody get scared, I guess, to really let the ball go. But I think Jake Fromm is as good as anybody in the country if you give him those opportunities. And also, just not been. This offense has been vanilla. It's been predictable, and kind of arrogant in a way. You got to adjust to what teams are doing. Teams are going to try to take away how physical your offensive line is, how good DeAndre Swift and Harrion is. So you have to figure out ways around that. I know it's youth at receiver. I know it's new relationships. But if you're a team that's vying to try to get in the college football playoff and even in the SEC championship, you're going to have to toss the ball around the yard a little bit. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, because Florida, this will be one of the best defenses, if not the best defense they played all season long. And in order to beat this team, you're going to have to throw the ball.
On the other side, what's Florida done so effectively with Kyle Trask at quarterback in comparison to Felipe Franks?
Take care of the ball. I think sometimes, we get enamored with these guys that throw for 500-600 yards and 5 touchdowns. Sometimes you need guys that's just going to make the right plays, convert third downs, and when you get in the red area, be better. And I was on record saying that this team probably is in better hands. As tragic as it was, what happened to Felipe, and we ain't talking life or death, but to see a guy, sustain an injury like that and not be able to play the rest of the year, I thought they would be in a better situation with Kyle. He's been sitting on the sideline watching football, getting a great concept and grasping what this offense can be. We've seen Dan Mullen work with quarterbacks and they become better. So now you see that. And I think the main thing is he just not turning the ball over. And also, not relying on the fact that, Felipe a lot sometimes relied on the fact that he had a cannon. Sometimes you want to methodically move the ball downfield. And Dan Mullen does a great job with that, man. He's one of those coaches that can get you to fall into the type of game he wants to play as well as anybody. And that quality that he has sometimes is more suited for guys that are not chance takers, per se. You look at Dak now, like that's the same scenario. Dak was very consistent with the ball, didn't turn the ball over. Didn't mean he wasn't a good quarterback and couldn't play at an elite level, but Dan is not going to ask his quarterbacks to do anything they don't do well, and I think that's what makes him successful.
You think this game, along with LSU Alabama, is pretty much the semifinals for the SEC?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm telling you, if Auburn didn't have a freshman quarterback that was trying to figure things out, that's a really good team. And obviously Alabama still has to play that game in Jordan-Hare. So, but I would say more so on this side of the conference, yeah. Georgia still has to play Auburn, but man, this is as good as it gets. We got 4 teams in the top 10, and they all playing each other within a 2-week span. So it's that's as good as it gets, man.
I don't want to get too off topic, but Joey Gatewood's actually a local product from Bartram Trail High School. What do you think of that whole situation over there at Auburn, saying that they're a pretty good team besides what's happening at quarterback right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you guys pay attention to anything I would say, I thought Joey was going to start this year. I thought he looked better in the spring than Bo Nix. But obviously Gus saw something in Bo that he thought would matriculate this offense better. And Bo has done a good job to be a freshman in some of the environments that he's had to play in, and he's kind of held the fort down. I actually thought he would try Gatewood in the LSU game, with it being that close, maybe get a spark, or see if he could come in and just be the difference. I mean, that was LSU is number one in the country playing great. That was a 3-point game. They won 23-20. So it wasn't like it was, this blowout where you get a guy some reps that really don't matter. I know he brought him in the red area and then took him out after one play. So I don't know, man. It's interesting to me when you got young quarterbacks and one is struggling. And I know you want to keep his confidence up, but in that particular situation, I thought Joy should have got a little run to see if he could do something different. He's a big body, athletic kid, can throw the ball, but does he take Auburn over the top? I don't know, because we hadn't seen it, but a lot of things that I saw him do in the spring, I was like, ooh, they might have something with him.
How do you think Georgia matches up with Auburn? I know we've talked a lot about this game. You just talked how good Auburn is. If Georgia wins, they're not home free, are they?
I'll tell you what. That 7-man box down there in Auburn, Alabama, different than everywhere else. So they better figure out how to throw it around when they play them. Because I'm telling you from experience, you ain't lining up against them 4 to 7 monsters in the middle of that defense and thinking you're going to run it 50 times. Like, it just ain't going to happen. 5 is as good as they get at D-tackle. He's a game changer in Derrick Brown. So, look, it'll be interesting to see tomorrow, though. Grantham is going to throw a lot at him, like he always does. Florida is not as physical at the interior as Auburn, but they grown men too. I mean, you think back to that game at Baton Rouge, that wasn't a blowout. That happened late as well. So Georgia just they just can't be complacent, man. And I know they're built on running the football, built on being physical. A lot about this offensive line and how physical they are. But with that being said, they can pass protect too. You got a quarterback that makes good decisions and has shown you over time that you can trust him with the ball to push it downfield. So we'll see. We'll see tomorrow, man. But it's, you there now. Ain't no more time to try to figure out who you are. You better be who you are, and if you can throw it, you need to throw it at this point, because that's the only way you're going to even yourself out with a lot of teams.
Last question? I'm
going to switch topics here a little bit. How do you feel about the whole athletes getting paid, college athletes?
Name, image, and likeness for me has always been, I thought it should have been non-negotiable a long time ago. There's parameters around it, but I just don't even like the foundational idea of guys not being able to profit off of their own name.
How do you think that will affect recruiting?
We'll see. I think it depends on what rules you can put in place around it. I'm not going to act like I'm smart enough to see what those rules will be, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, look, we have governing now over a lot of things. So to just have those things in place for people to think about, so you're not absent-minded or just blindly out there using that as a recruiting tool, is a good thing. But when it comes to athletes being able to, be paid off their name, image, and likeness, people forget, I'm not far removed from Ed O'Bannon in the NCAA game, right? So for me, this whole discussion is totally different when you see that get done. But it'll be interesting to see what takes place. A lot of people a lot smarter than me need to figure out how they gonna box it and make sure that it's not spilling out to being some kind of trade,
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.